Welcome to the Ringside Podcast. I'm Daniel Spencer.
I'm Jeremy Warman.
And I'm Linda Kay.
All right, Eric's not with us at the moment, but he says he's going to hop on anytime in the show. So we're just going to get a surprise from Eric in the middle of the show. And he's going to hop on. And it's great to have him back in the intro, as we talked about last week. And he wasn't on the show, but now, he's going to be on. And he's got a lot to talk about. I mean, he was at STARRCAST weekend and a bunch of other stuff. So I can't wait to have him on and hear his take on all that. But guys, you know what? When I come to think about this show tonight, we were thinking about what we're going to talk about it. And I have one question. I just want to come on here and I want to say to you guys, everything that happened this weekend, I just want to say, so what do you want to talk about? Because there's so much really to talk about.
Yeah, there's a little bit to talk about. I just want to make sure everybody knows we didn't fire Eric. He's still here. He didn't try to bully any of us on the podcast. He'll be here shortly. Lots to talk about.
Indeed. Had an eventful weekend.
Lots to fill you in on.
Mm-hmm.
Lots to fill you in on, for sure.
Oh, this seltzer is reminiscent of something. I don't know.
That's not. Oh, I thought you were drinking a Pepsi. My bad.
No. Red, white, and blue seltzer.
It's been a very interesting weekend, so to say the least. And I'm excited to get back in this groove of things. This week, by the way, shout out to Brian Hebner and RJ on the Roughing It Up podcast. If you're listening to this show and you're new to this show or new watching because you listen to Roughing It Up, we thank you, we appreciate you, and welcome to Ringside Podcast. You're going to love this show just as much as you love Brian's. Although we don't talk a lot of shit about referees like Brian does, I'm just playing. Brian's great. But that was a great week we had on and talking on his show, and we're gonna kind of piggyback off of some things we talked about there, but we're also gonna talk about some other things. And if you're don't know who Roughing It Up is, then check out Brian Hebner's podcast, Roughing It Up, with Brian Hebner and Jimmy Cordeas. I'm filling in for the next 3 or 4 weeks for Jimmy Cordeas on his show, so I'm busy myself, and I got White Plains coming up with Victory Road and the 1,000th episode of that. It's I don't know how I'm doing everything, but I am. So anyways, wanted to get that plug out there, get that done, and out of the way. So let's talk wrestling. This past week, we had Payback, WWE's Payback, live from Pittsburgh, PA. That's a city that I think Jeremy likes a lot. And then on Sunday, we had All Out in Chicago, which Saturday night, I guess you also had Collision in Chicago as well. So there was quite a bit of wrestling that happened, but that, believe it or not, that wasn't really the biggest news that happened this weekend.
I was going to say, you forgot about Sunday morning's pay-per-view. Fill out.
That was actually my Saturday morning. But that wasn't the biggest talked about show or biggest thing that happened in wrestling. No, ladies and gentlemen, on Saturday, OVW did a live event at the KS Bar in Lexington, Kentucky. Linda was there. I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Jones, the owner of OVW, owner of KSR Bar, and paid for our food. That was amazing. So it was good. And I was excited. So there you go.
Yeah, I told you. I said at the start of the show, we had some huge events that we were a part of this weekend.
Huge event. And Eric, by the way, we're joined from Eric Cornish. Eric hopped in here. Eric, appreciate you joining. We just did the intro a little bit ago, so you haven't missed too much of the show. You just got in. And by the way, first of all, congratulations on being back in the intro. AJ McKay finally did an intro for you. So you're back in the intro.
Well, I know. I mean, I guess after spending a whole weekend with him, and I had to kick him in the rear end a couple times, but we made it happen.
So we started talking about the biggest weekend. I first asked what does everybody want to talk about, because there's not very much that happened this weekend, although there's a lot that happened this weekend. We had Payback in Pittsburgh. We had Collision and All Out in Chicago. We had the OVW live show in Lexington, Kentucky. But out of all of that, really, I jokingly said Lexington was the bigger show or bigger thing to talk about. After all of that, it still wasn't the biggest news that came out of this weekend.
No.
We might as well talk about the pink elephant in the room, and that pink elephant is the one and only CM Punk being terminated, fired, released, however you want to say it, from his AEW contract. Shocked the wrestling world. It shocked us, me and Linda and all the other OVW staff in Lexington, Kentucky when the news broke. It shocked our DM group. It shocked probably you, Eric, that since you were in Chicago in STARRCAST that weekend, what was going on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess CM Punk is all out of AEW, and what he is, after listening to different podcast episodes from Jimmy Cornette to Eric Bischoff to hearing Vince Russo, what he had to say, talking about it with Brian Hebner on his podcast. It's the talk of the town, and everyone has their opinion. Some agree, some disagree with the decision. I want to hear your all's opinion. We all shared it in our group text, but we haven't really talked about it. So let's talk about it. What is your all's opinion about what happened with CM Punk?
Well, let me go ahead and start from being, I guess, closest to the situation this weekend was really weird. It was a weird vibe at STARRCAST. I was there kind of tending to the stage, and all the different people coming up on stage, and so including Tony Khan, the day before all this happened. So, well, I mean, the events of the process have already happened, but you think when you're going to bring Tony Khan on stage and have something called AEW Unfiltered and have the man himself on stage for an hour and a half, that you might get some kind of insight in some kind of scoop and some kind of, where the company is going. And you literally got an hour and a half of Tony Khan up there talking about how great the card was, how many people we drew at All In, and how great the card's going to be at All Out. And we'll see you folks later. I mean, that's all it was. It was just one run-on sentence from Tony Khan. And I mean, obviously they didn't take any questions, which is probably a good thing. But then when the news broke.
Oh, did we lose Eric?
We did.
Maybe he'll be back. Right. He wants us the suspense to continue because I'm waiting to hear when suspense. He said when the news broke.
Oh, he's going back. He's going in and out. Oh, sorry guys, technical difficulties. You're back now. Yes, you're back now.
So the news broke. That's the last thing we heard.
Yeah, when the news broke. Yes.
So when the news broke, it was the staff of AEW, because there was plenty of them there. They all kind of got real quiet. Tony was nowhere to be found after that. But the fans, there were some that were in Chicago that were pretty upset just because they were hoping, you're going to be in our town for a week, that we would see our native guy, and they didn't. And then it was just the talk of like everything else. You've been at you guys have all been at those conventions before. You know what they're like, and it's fun and it's happy, and while everybody was just kind of like, oh my God, like what is going on, So I don't know. My opinion on the situation, I retweeted somebody who I think had probably the best take on it, and that is there's so many people that were in the wrong in this situation. Punk was the guy who got the axe in all of it, but there were so many wrong things that happened. Punk being one of them. I mean, he handled it incorrectly, but Tony Khan handled it incorrectly, and going all the way back to Hangman Page handled it incorrectly, and Jungle Boy handled it incorrect. Like everybody did the wrong things in this situation.
Right.
And when you've got the most volatile personality in all of wrestling, involved in it, I mean, he was the one that took the fall in it all. So
Yeah.
It sucks. What are you gonna do?
I hate to see him leave because I do think that he was one of the draws, if not the biggest draw for. I mean, heck, they even made an entirely different show just to pander to him, to appease him, to placate him. Um, and he does all that. This isn't like I see a lot of people. Well, if he got fired, Jack Perry should be fired too. Well, this wasn't Jack Perry's 18th instance of something happening. Jack Perry didn't allegedly corner Tony Khan into some monitors that fell over on him, and he felt uh, whether or not again he didn't put he didn't make Tony Khan feel like his safety was in danger. Um,
And his life.
Right. Which I don't know. I mean, I've always suspected that Tony Khan was a little soft from day one, especially how he always tries to be friends with all the wrestlers. And it's almost like he thinks he's got a box full of wrestling toys and he gets to pull them out and book them. That's what this has felt like from the jump to me. That's why I think there's not been a whole lot of fluid storylines. It's like, who do I want to see wrestle this week? Let's throw them on TV. But with that being said, CM Punk should not have done what he did. Jack Perry shouldn't have done what he did. I saw somebody earlier, and I want to give the correct credit to him. It may have been Vince Russo. He was like, they had somebody in the locker room that would keep stuff from happening, like what Jack Perry did, going into business for himself. And that's the problem with the younger generations these days. They think they can just do whatever they want to, and there's no repercussions. I do agree with him being suspended. Hopefully, I'm not a huge Jack Perry fan anyway, but it looked like he was finally getting some momentum and they're finally starting to do something with his character. And I, as a fan, I love seeing I love seeing him like allude to. I guess I just would have thought that CM Punk would have been a little bit more professional. Been like, kid, that was awesome that you said that, knowing that all this stuff has gotten out. The fans will be able to know what you're talking about. But he didn't see it that way. It got physical, and at the end of the day, Survivor Series is in Chicago here in a couple of months. Punk got fired with cause. Let's go.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Surprised seeing when the news broke. I saw our messaging, Daniel, when we were at the show together, and I'm like, wait, I thought, isn't he in the ring? But it was a match that you weren't running, and I was just like, oh, okay. But I think, I agree with you that it sucks that this is happening just because CM Punk making this huge return. We got Collision, this show that was just made so much around him being the face of it, and just things seemed so well when that show debuted. The overall feel of everything going on there, it seemed like things were much better, I would say. Unfortunately, the recent occurrences have changed that, obviously, and it's just crazy. Unfortunately, things went to where they went. I feel that it can only go through so much where you can resolve that. I mean, I still always hope for resolution, always hope for that, but that didn't happen this time, maybe quite where it could have gone to keep everybody still there at AEW and in a happier place, but state of mind, I mean. But I guess we'll just see how things progress moving forward, but it's just still a huge shock. I mean,
it's very interesting because, like, he is without a doubt the draw. Like, he is a needle mover. He's a tick. I mean, like, Chicago would have sold out way more than they did. Punk was there. Like, they still had a hard time selling tickets, but that's because they hadn't announced anything other than you might get to see Punk, right, for Collision but they booked the United Center, which is a bigger venue than they normally run in Chicago, for that whole reasoning, right? Because Punk was there for Collision and for All Out. So it is it is interesting to see where they're going to go. I said this on the other podcast is, I listened to Jim Cornette's version. I listened to Eric Bischoff. I listened to Vince Russo, all these other people, so many other different people give their opinions and thoughts. But I'm really interested in people that have been at that top level and have made these hard decisions, right? And they all said they believe Tony Khan made the right decision. Not that they think Punk needed to be fired, but it was the right decision for everybody. Because if Punk didn't want to be there anymore, which the rumors are he didn't, okay, now you're gone. Now you can move on. If the Elite, Jack Perry, all these, whoever else is in the locker room that claims they don't want Punk there, okay, all those people now can move on. If Tony Khan was trying to keep everyone happy by keeping everybody there and doing 2 separate shows, whatever they were doing, now he can move on. It's everybody. Warner Brothers can now move on. Everything can move forward, and Punk's going to be okay because there's 2 other wrestling companies out there that will probably be interested in him. You know, does WWE pull the trigger and bring him back? It's very possible. Eric Bischoff himself, controversy creates cash, and if Vince McMahon knows how to create, knows he will make money, he'll bring him back, and it'll be a huge thing when he comes back. There's the other company that I work for, Impact Wrestling. We could bring him on. I'm not saying that we are. I'm just saying that we could. And there's people that would work with him, and it would be a big thing, and he would draw, and it would be a huge for us if he came there. Whether people like him, hate him, love him, whatever, it doesn't matter. It would happen. CM Punk, to me personally, has always been super friendly. I have no issues with him. I don't even see him being a troublemaker, in my opinion. I don't know how, because what I see is not the person that portrays in the dirt sheets. But it does also mean that Meltzer or Wade Keller or whoever's making these reports doesn't get worked and being told lies anyways. Like, I'm hearing 3 different reports of this altercation that happened at All In, and then I'm hearing completely different from people that I know that were there. So it's like, what's really going on in this situation? Like, who's feeding who information? So in my opinion, I'm glad all of that's gone now. We don't have to worry about the who he said, she said stuff anymore. Well, I guess until this is officially legally over, I guess, right? But it is definitely a legal thing. Fired with cause, and I was scared for my life. Like, these are all legal terms that are being made for a reason, and that's a smart move on their behalf to say it that way. We don't know legally where it stands if Punk can show up in Chicago at Survivor Series. We don't know.
I did do the research. He was terminated with cause, so that means there is no non-compete clause.
We think, but we don't know what his opinion.
Well, let's put it this way. I did research on employment termination and non-compete clauses. And the way it reads is that there is, because they said with cause, that eliminates the severance pay, that eliminates PTO payout, that eliminates non-compete clauses. So, but you're right. We're assuming that because we haven't been told that directly, but it appears as if the with cause threw everything else away. But here's my question for you, Daniel. Does this major blow to AEW, does that signal the beginning of the end for them, or do you think that they can overcome it? Because you mentioned CM Punk being a needle mover, and as much as they wanted that needle to move when CM Punk came, they thought they were going to get 1.3, 1.5 million. It didn't move that far. It went from like 1.1 to 1.25 million. Do you think this signals rough times ahead for AEW?
No, the only time will tell, because this is something that, I mean, obviously that's the hindsight 2020 question, really, or answer, really, right? But in 6 months from now, we'll see if this was really a good decision or a bad decision. We will, but I also think it'll be a good decision, because here's what I heard. It said, I think it was Bryan Danielson that said it in the media scrum, and we've heard it before. It's happened in Impact Wrestling. It's happened in WWE even. It's happened when somebody goes out, whether it's an injury, whether it's something, when somebody goes down and they're no longer, whoever the main player is gone. That's someone's opportunity to step up and be the man or be the woman or be the face. So however you want to label it, be the draw. So now it's time to see who really can be. Okay, Punk's. there was that time when he was suspended and Punk was going to return, but we knew that he was going to eventually come back because it was never said he was fired. There was never this. There was always this.
Right.
He was injured, all that. We knew he would eventually come back, how they were going to do it. Now we know he's not coming back. So now it's, okay, who's going to step up and say, this is my time. I'm going to shine. This is me. I'm going to carry the ball. I'm going to run with it. I mean, as much as you dislike him, the MVP for a lot has been Jon Moxley for AEW. He has stepped up and he has been, an MVP for them, and he has shown that he's willing to like be there when they need him. And but now does Jon Moxley do that again, or does Bryan Danielson do that, or do you bring up does MJF show that he belongs at the top, where he is at the top, but it shows that I'm going to carry this company on, and I'm going to show this. So when that 2024 contract comes due, you're going to re-sign me to a bigger deal because I'm not going with Saint Nick or whatever. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Right now, it is not about the talent, and I learned a little bit about that this weekend because I was closer to AEW than I've ever been before, and I think more than ever, I think the problem is the guy in charge, and it's while he is a visionary of sorts, and he does have a good way of handling talent for the most part, he needs to give up some of the reins, because right now, from what I'm hearing, and I heard this a lot this weekend, is that he, even more so than Vince was back in the day, is kind of the guy when it comes to creative. He's got a lot of people around him, but he's not really letting anybody else make those decisions. Like, there's the overarching creative stuff. But then when people go to the ring to do their promos, now they're just kind of left to their own devices. You know what I mean? That's why you have things like Jungle Boy doing what he did, and that's why you have Hangman doing what he did or whatever. I think it's time for him to give up that, that creative, position to, and it's been mentioned that Bryan Danielson, he said that he would be the guy if he got hit by a bus. Do it. Let him take over that creative. Let people like the Sanjay Dutts of the world who can do that, do it, and not just be there in title only. To take guys like, while Christopher Daniels is probably a great guy to handle talent relations, he's probably a little too close to the situation. You know what I mean? He's got friends and he's still kind of working. I'm not saying JR is the guy to do it at his age, but you need somebody like JR that's not one of the boys to handle situations like this. So if there is an issue between talent, he's there to mediate. You know what I mean? He's there to mediate contracts and stuff like that. It's time to delegate. Tony Khan, I hated the way that he handled this whole situation. Why did he have to put it out in a press release? Why did he come on with that just weird backstage promo where he never blinked and he feared for his life? Why is that necessary to go at the beginning of the show? Why is it necessary to walk out on stage and talk to that crowd who obviously was going to boo the crap out of him? None of that was necessary.
I got a question. I got a question real quick. Sorry to interrupt. I got a question.
Go ahead.
And this is, I have people there. I love people, and I love Tony. He's a great guy. Question is, whose fault is all of this? Whose fault is this for happening? If you had to label someone's fault, who is it?
I say it's Tony. And I mean, and again, it's just because he let it get so far. He gave too much rope in some places, and then he was too overbearing in other situations. It's just, he can't be the only one. He is not Vince McMahon. He's got a lot of money and he's got vision, but he is not the kind of, genius that Vince McMahon is when it comes to this business. And he needs to use the people he's got around him to save this ship.
Well, Eric, you asked why do all that. I think it's simple, and you just alluded to it. He was trying to be, that opening promo reminded me eerily of the Vince taking over WCW promo, the coming out to the crowd thinking that he could do damage control with them. Seems like something. So I just think he's in over his head. I don't think he's a horrible guy, but even if you watch the press conferences, if for example, Orange Cassidy was at the last one and he was very, very nice and respectful and calm. MJF came out and every other word out of Tony Khan's mouth was F this, F that, and this and that. It's just like he's trying too hard to be cool with the talent, and you can't, no matter where you manage at. When I used to be a manager of a warehouse, I couldn't be friends. Like, I tried to motivate the workers that were underneath me, but I couldn't have them over to my house for dinner or offer them perks. It's just not been a good look from the start. And I also think this may have hurt him as far as trying to get guys like Edge to come, because why would Edge want to jump in to a situation like that when he knows he can just come back to WWE, wrestle 3 times a year, collect a fat check, and you don't have to worry about it. Is somebody going to fist fight around me? Because that's one thing you can say about WWE. That locker room demands respect because of guys like Undertaker and JBL and such. So I don't know. I think this is I mean, I know it's a bad look overall. I don't know if everybody already thought they were a secondary promotion, as Triple H called them. This kind of behavior just rubber stamps that opinion.
And listen, I'm not gonna, like I said, I was privy to a lot of things that happened this weekend, and I won't go into all of them, but I'll give you one. I'll give you one because this is just kind of funny and it's not going to ruin too much. But so there were panels, and the panels were basically at the discretion of AEW at STARRCAST, right? They were giving the talent for these panels. And if you go through the list, there were some good ones, and then there was, some that were just okay. But, you didn't have all the best talent, put it that way, in all these panels. But for one of them, Swerve was supposed to do one. And up until a couple days before, he was still scheduled to do a panel. He was pulled by AEW because Swerve is still in a coffin, according to them. I'll just leave it at that. We never saw him get out of the casket, so he's still in the casket. He can't do a panel.
Oh, dear baby Jesus.
So I'll just leave it. I'll just leave that one out there, and the rest of it just you can, use your imagination. But that right there told me, okay, are we really looking at the big picture here?
I just can't believe that you're there in the thick of things, Eric. I mean, what a weekend to be not just in Chicagoland, but amongst all of the AEW people you were around. Like, this is insane. What a historic weekend.
It was a weird vibe. That's all I could say is weird. I mean, it was just the vibe coming off of the day after everything happened, and they have a creating AEW panel with literally everybody that's in their management except for Tony. You got Christopher Daniels and you got Jerry Lynn and Pat Buck and all these guys up on stage. And they did take questions, which I thought was interesting, but they kind of implied at the beginning, make sure it's relevant to what we're talking about here today. So
it's going to be interesting to see, as I said before, in the next 6 months, what this company goes to. I do agree. I think there needs to be some sort of change to help this doesn't happen again. And maybe this is something that will be the better for. Maybe the change will come in a way we don't know. And maybe not. Maybe there doesn't need to be change. Maybe the change just happened and everything's going to be fine and dandy. And we look into it and everything, they move forward and everything's fine. Again, only time will tell. I don't know. I don't know at all. I just, it sucks that we're in this situation. It sucks that, I heard somebody say they had their biggest, event of 80,000 people or whatever, and leading into this biggest week of the Chicago shows and everything going on. But yet the news out of all of that is not the fact that they had their biggest night and biggest week. It's the CM Punk and Jack Perry and whatever happened backstage situation that is in the firing is what the big story is. It's the negative of what happened, not the positive of them in their 4 years being able to pull 80,000 in Wembley Stadium. So that's what sucks for wrestling. And again, I'm not blaming anybody. It's just that's what sucks about that.
Quick question, Daniel.
Yeah.
If you're WWE,
Yeah.
do you three options? Do
Okay.
you bring him in, announce him for Survivor Series? Do you hold off to drive the tickets up for Survivor Series and bring them in at Royal Rumble? Or do you go? How do you do? I know I said three. That was only two. Which way do you do it?
WWE does not need does not need to announce CM Punk. WWE is doing just as fine on ticket sales, on merchandise, on pay-per-view buys or Peacock watches or however you want to say it. They're doing just fine. They don't need to announce CM Punk. He can be an awesome surprise for Survivor Series, a Rumble, for a Raw, SmackDown, whatever. It doesn't matter. They don't need to announce him.
No, I would bring him in at Rumble because I think the anticipation of, could we see him at Survivor Series? I think that would be enough to completely sell out the venue. So Chicago's a good wrestling city anyway, so they're going to watch.
It is. Now, but I'm going to kind of throw, because there are obviously clearly talks about this as well. There's Impact. Impact would need to announce. I want Impact to announce. If he was to come to Impact announces CM Punk shows up at Bound for Glory or at Hard to Kill or TV tapings in Memphis.
Drive your buys up.
It'll drive the buys up, and you could move venues if you wanted to. You could do they announce just like they, when we announced we're going to have a special signing for that last time in Chicago in April, and it got leaked that it was Trinity, but that helped those ticket buys there. So CM Punk would move the needle. Nothing wrong. I love Trinity, but CM Punk will move the needle completely different in that. So that's who announces. WB does not need to announce. Impact would need to announce. If AEW was bringing him back for some weird reason in the year, they would announce it. It's just because WB is the NFL. They're the king. They're going to get the eyes. They're going to get the buys no matter what right now because of who they are. You don't need to announce. Now, they do announce John Cena sometimes. I mean, I guess on a live event, you would want to announce CM Punk, but CM Punk, we all know, is not showing up on the live event. So
I just was wondering when you would bring him back, Survivor Series or Rumble, because that Cody versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns triple threat in Philadelphia is going to be off the chain.
You're just assuming they're going to bring him back. I'm still not positive that's going to happen.
I'm not sold that they'll bring him back.
I don't know that he wants to come back, despite what we've heard. I don't know. I think we might see what we saw a couple years ago, and he might just disappear. I'm not 100%. And other than Roman, I mean, Roman makes sense for a feud. Like, what else is there? Because Triple H isn't getting back in the ring, and that's the feud. But other than that, all you got's Roman based on the, make sure Roman looks really good, pal,
Well, he's mentioned he wanted to wrestle Kevin Owens before he stopped wrestling, too. So that would be another good feud. And they're both really good on the mic. But, no, I'm with you. I was portraying that as if he was coming back 100%. I'm with you. I don't know that they want to take the chance of this happening again.
But I do disagree with Eric on Eric saying that I think he might be like before and disappear for a few years. I don't think that. I think he's got the wrestling bug. I think last time he was old, tired, and he didn't work with children at the time, but he was old and tired, and he was ready to step away and done. I think now he's got that bug back, and he realized he missed it, and he was having fun until he wasn't having fun anymore. But he was having fun. I think he wants that again. So now, does he pull a Matt Cardona and show up at GCW? But no, I don't. But he could shock us all and do that. I don't know. I mean but I do think he gets back. He's in the ring somewhere, and obviously WB is going to be the place that would make the most sense. But
Can I also bring up just a couple of months ago at Raw at the Allstate? I was there. Remember when Punk showed up and then was asked to leave or something along those lines? So to this point, especially on the heels off what has just happened, I don't know if that would necessarily happen back with WWE, but never know down the line.
Yeah, I mean, you got a point. I mean, that's true. he did show up there, and that same week he also showed up at backstage at Impact Wrestling. Apparently played Uno, but I never saw him play it. I don't know. That's what the dirt sheet says. It goes back to the other things that they just report stuff that people tell them that's may not be true because I didn't see him play Uno. But that doesn't mean that he didn't walk over and flip over an Uno card or something. I don't know. But anyways, it's interesting. It's been you know, there was rumors that he was going to make some kind of a statement or whatever, and I'm sure eventually a statement will come forward. You know, maybe that'll be the pipe bomb we all want to hear. You know, I don't know. But yeah, it's I'm one of those, like, I'm anticipating to see what happens next from him, from AEW. And here's and honestly, I'm not saying this just because, you know, well, whatever. I really, really hope that in 6 months, not 6 years, 6 months from now, we look back and this was the great decision AEW made because AEW is striving and looking amazing and kicking ass and whatever. They're doing well as a company. WWE is also doing well as a company, whether it's with CM Punk or not CM Punk, and us, Impact Wrestling, is doing well as a company with CM Punk or not CM Punk. I just hope wrestling in general just stays on top, and in 6 months from now, that's really how I feel. Yeah, that's all. That's what I want to say about it. So,
Indeed.
but that's not all the news that came out this week. It's just
Sure.
It just seemed to be the most the biggest impact, no pun intended, but impact of the news of that. But there was also another announcement that was made in the fact that we got to see him on Saturday or Friday, Saturday, and I mean technically he was there Monday too. You just couldn't see him. Mr. John Cena, now coined as the greatest of all time, arguably that's possibly so. Is you know, going to be doing a kind of a month or so at WWE. I personally don't they don't need him because they've selling tickets out the wazoo without him, and even some places without Roman right now, which lets you know that Cody's doing his thing. But how do you feel before we talk about some of the other big news that happened this weekend? How do you feel about John Cena kind of spending another 3 weeks or month back in WWE doing some things?
Yeah, I'm cool with that because from what I read, it was at the request of the Saudis. They wanted him to come back, and he had been genuinely intrigued in that because he had never wrestled there before. So as long as he's not staying around for a long time.
In India? You mean India?
He's going to India.
Is it India? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad. As long as he don't stick around too long, I'm cool with it. But that Miz TV this week, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. That's probably one of the most creative things I've seen in a long time. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Linda.
I'll just briefly say, even the interaction between Cena and Miz at Payback was fantastic. How that all played into him being the ref for the match, and then what I was going to say, what you kind of saw was a sneak peek of perhaps John Cena and LA Knight in something potentially, even though they shook hands, little something there as well. But huge John Cena fan, everybody knows. So I love him being with WWE for the time he is right now, and looking forward. You know, just before we know it, it's going to be Royal Rumble time. It's going to be WrestleMania time, and this could all just lead up to it.
Yeah, I think honestly, it was probably hinging on the India thing, but because of the strikes in Hollywood, I mean, I think this made it really easy for him to come and do this because this, you know, doesn't fall under that strike. So, I think it was probably his idea, like, hey, you know, I'm not doing anything else. Let's do this. So good for him. If he can get in a couple storylines, it'll be nice to have him around for a little while and see what we get out of him. So always good, especially for an OVW alum like John Cena.
Absolutely. And speaking of OVW, we are the official podcast of OVW, but I want to transition real quick and bring up some other big news that happened that actually was said or announced by another OVW alum, and that is in Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes made the announcement of the new member of Monday Night Raw, main event himself, Jey Uso, is now a member of Raw. But then another interesting thing was stated is that because of that, now somebody's got to go to SmackDown, and kind of makes you wonder if that person going to SmackDown is Mr. Cody Rhodes.
That was my thought.
The buzz.
That's what a lot of people are saying. I'd rather see Cody hang out for a little while at Raw, but
I would too. I mean, it would start you could kind of lead towards finishing the story, but they can come up with some other creative way of him going to SmackDown in 4 months. You know, you don't have to do it
No.
now. I don't think Cody, and I don't think Cody needs to win the Royal Rumble to be able to take on Roman Reigns. I think Cody can just get that title shot some other way, win an Elimination Chamber or something. But we've seen that done before. I do think it would, I don't want Cody. I mean, although Steve Austin did go back-to-back Royal Rumble wins too, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. I just feel like I don't want to overdo it, but Cody's so over that it's almost hard for him to do something that'll make fans get sick of him right now. So maybe I'm wrong.
If it's not Cody, who's your best candidate?
I'd send Kevin Owens, honestly. I'd send Kevin Owens. Yeah, I think, now that they lost the titles, maybe send him over there, turn him heel. They're going to have to, right now, they've got a lot of good baby faces because look at how over Jey was last night. My God. I mean, he was over, obviously, working with Roman, but, look at this. Now he's separate from the bloodline. He's there by himself. He's without his brother in any form or fashion. And that crowd was insane for Jey last night. So that made me feel real good about where he's headed. And now you got all these great baby faces, and now you're going to have some more heels other than just, Roman and the Judgment Day to kind of carry things. So, I could see a change for Owens. I could see a change for maybe Drew McIntyre. You're seeing a little bit of that right now. So there's going to have to be some kind of change, but my pick would be Kevin Owens to go over there.
And I imagine we'll see Friday night who the compensatory pick was. What about you? Linda? Who do you think it's going to be? If it's not KO, if it's not Cody?
I would say Drew McIntyre. However, there is still the story with him and Riddle right now as a tag team, but it's kind of, and with the New Day, that's something building where Drew's just getting more and more angered, or not, I don't say angered, but you just really don't know how he's going to react and what he's going to do. You already kind of saw some glimpses of it, even though they were accidents at ringside. Still could lead to something more. I feel that this could be a quick move if they do want to send Drew over to SmackDown, and if he is a heel, I mean, all he has to do is just hit Matt Riddle and boom, you're good. Deal. And if you want to go to SmackDown due to this trade, it can be done. Daniel?
I mean, yeah, I think if it's Sami Zayn, maybe, he could go back over there since it's kind of that they had all the titles, and if it's not Kevin Owens, it could be Sami. Also it easily could be The Miz. The Miz could go over there and do that. I mean, if Cena's going to be, it depends on if Cena's going to be more of a SmackDown person or a Raw person these next couple of weeks, him doing whatever. It could be that, or maybe Cena's going to have a feud with The Miz on Raw and LA Knight on SmackDown. I don't know, but it's I just feel like it's going to be. Then again, it could be someone like a Chelsea Green, because Chelsea lost, her other now tag team partner is now out, and maybe she goes to SmackDown to find a new partner over there, and could be one of those situations too. I don't know. There's just so many different creative ways you can do it.
Sure.
But I feel like they're setting it up to be Cody, just because of what happened. So,
Yeah, they made a point to say that it would upset a lot of people there. So it's KO would upset Sammy, and you would think Jay and all of them.
Yeah.
Cody would. I don't know who would that directly upset because he's not been there long enough to. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much. Sometimes they want you to read too much into it, so you overlook what's going to happen. So I don't know. I still think we find out Friday who that person is.
Well, Cody's supposed to be there Friday regardless. I think they announced that he's going to be on SmackDown. So
Could be Chad Gable after all that we've saw from him. Goes out on his back and heads over there and becomes a huge star.
What if they
Possibly too.
traded Gunther and they stripped him of his title 2 days before he got traded before he got the record?
That
would make a lot of people mad, but the honky tonk man.
Exactly.
The honky tonk man.
I don't know. I mean, it's almost like you could have put Jay on Raw without putting someone on SmackDown because SmackDown was loaded with talent anyways, and being a 2-hour show, Raw could have used another main event like Jey Uso there. So it's very maybe they put Corey or Corey not Corey Graves, but Michael Cole back. Oh, Michael Cole's doing both already, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, never mind then. Yeah. I don't know.
Did they say when necessarily we'd find out? Are we finding out Friday? I know you mentioned Cody being there, but was it ever announced like when we would find out who the person would be? Okay.
No, I'm just assuming it'll be Friday because we found out about Jay on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we found out about Jay on Saturday, but then you saw him on Monday, yeah. And we found out the situation about somebody's going to SmackDown on Monday. So yeah, maybe we'll find it on Friday. I'm not sure on that, but yeah, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see for sure. But I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, there's not too much. I mean, there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there about WWE and Fox's relationship possibly coming to an end. That'll be huge if that happens. We know that the contract was coming up, and they were renegotiating. But like, if they legit come to an end relationship wise, it's where SmackDown going to land. And I think that kind of goes into the whole new TV deal. I think the whole idea with this endeavor and everything happening is this whole new TV deal. Would it be smart for, like, say, NBC, Comcast, or even go to Disney or whatever and say, hey, we'll take SmackDown and Raw. We'll put SmackDown on our network television, whether it's NBC, and then we'll keep Raw on USA. Or Disney says we'll take SmackDown on ABC, and we'll put Monday Night Raw. I guess it wouldn't go on ESPN, but what other Disney owned station would it go to? FX maybe. I think that's the one. I think.
Well, you wouldn't put Raw would not go to ESPN because of the Monday Night Football, but that's why.
FX.
Yeah, Fox is with FX, right?
No, I think FX. I think Disney bought FX now.
Oh, did they?
If
Yeah,
so,
well,
no, Disney
Disney
owns. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say the Universal would make the most sense just because they've got such a long relationship with them and Peacock and all that stuff. I can't see them putting SmackDown on NBC, but maybe they do. I don't know. I think just Raw's got such a long history on USA. Save for just 2 years, I think that they went away.
Well, I mean, the ideal is you would, if they do ABC, you're renegotiating. It stays on USA. It makes sense. NBC takes SmackDown, but then you already have your stuff on the Peacock, so it's like everything would be in one. But the whole idea is to have Endeavor to also run UFC, and UFC. It's just whole. I mean, it's a matter of, does Fox want to run and compete against ESPN and have wrestling and have UFC and all those other sports, or does ESPN want to control everything? But then you're right, Monday Night Football's on ESPN, so where's Monday Night Raw going to go? Unless everything. They get everything but Monday Night Raw. You know, they say Monday Night Raw stays on USA Network. We'll leave that, but we want SmackDown, so we'll put it on ABC on Friday nights, and then we'll, you know, take your UFC shows to Endeavor, and we'll put that on Tuesday nights or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just
UFC is already on ABC on Saturdays ever so often.
Oh, really?
Of course, there's ESPN Plus and ESPN2, all that stuff. But yeah, every once in a while, it will be on ABC. So you'll see some of that stuff going on at like 4 p.m. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize this was on family programming, so to speak, with some of that blood. But hey, we see that all anytime, anywhere with the wrestling nowadays as well. But
And that's the other thing. I didn't think about ESPN2. I mean, technically, ESPN could say we'll run Raw on ESPN2 and Monday Night Football on ESPN1, but that's competing against himself. I don't know. That's kind of rough on that. But yeah, FX is owned by Disney, so if Disney, they could technically put Monday Night Raw on FX instead of ESPN. So they could do
It was a look because it's still at Fox Studios in California, but it is owned by Disney now.
Yeah, it's owned by Disney. Yeah. You know, it's interesting for sure on that stuff. Let's before we go any further in the show, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. And let's talk about one of our favorite sponsors in Collar and Elbow. That's right. When you go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use promo code Ringside, all capital letters. You save 10% and you help the Ringside podcast out. You get yourself some nice wrestling apparel right there. That Pride shirt. You get yourself. Do we have heat? Look at that right there. If you're watching on the YouTube, you see that beautiful Louis collar and elbow shirt that has the very looks like Mardi Gras thing to it. A brown shirt. Look at that. My favorite is the Money Nitro and the War Zone, the classic WWE and WCW shirts. You can get your collar and elbow version of that. When you go to collarandelbowbrand.com, again, use promo code Ringside, all capital letters. You save 10%, and you help the Ringside podcast out in the process. Collar and elbow, the best wrestling apparel there is today.
Well, it's not just Collar and Elbow either, though, right? We have more sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Linda, take it away.
absolutely. Another great friend of ours would be ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Make sure to go to the website or to the socials and speak with our great friend Chris. He can fill you in more about how you can have affordable supplemental coverage to make sure you are covered if you get hurt. This is for anyone as well. Yeah, it's called ProWrestlingInsurance.com, but it is available for anybody, anywhere, anytime to make sure you're covered. Again, if you get hurt, you are covered. You have a check made out to you to help you pay for your medical costs. So again, ProWrestlingInsurance.com. Speak with Chris and let him know we sent you.
And you know, when Linda's talking about medical costs, you don't want to have any medical costs when it relates to nicks and snags and snares in your nether regions. That's why you need Manscaped. Support for Ringside Podcast brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code referee. Now, the Performance Package includes, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0, which can get all of the nooks and crannies of your business down there. Also, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which I love that. That is definitely getting into those hard to reach places. And, you know, when you get into your 40s like I am, sometimes you get like longer hairs that are coming out of places that you don't normally have them. And that nose and ear hair trimmer is really good. Crop preserver, ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. That is the Performance Package 4.0. If you want to get your hands on that and get that on other parts of you, well, then it's time to take care of yourself with manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping with the code referee. Do it now with Manscaped.
All right. And we got one more sponsor to plug, and that is Cornbread Hemp. That's right. When you go to cornbreadhemp.com, use promo code Ringside. You save 15% on that product and get some of the best product there is. I'll tell you what, I have to give a personal shout out to them because I was having trouble sleeping, just couldn't lay down, couldn't sleep. I started using the CBD gummies, and let me tell you what, it literally helped me sleep at night, help relieve some stress. It is a legal product. It's one of the best products that I have tried over the last few weeks. I highly recommend and excited for our partnership, but I highly recommend you get yourself some cornbread hemp. Go to cornbreadhemp.com. Use that promo code ringside to save yourself 50% and start feeling better, sleeping better, and just not being stressed so much
I
anymore.
want to
Your
throw
day-to-day.
in something about
Yeah,
cornbread
go
hemp right
ahead.
here.
Please
Okay,
do.
so of course I flew to Chicago this weekend and flew back. I am not a flying person. I know, Daniel, you take a lot of flights with Impact. I don't do it a lot, and I have never done well on planes, and just always I don't know if it's my nerves, but I feel sick when I'm on planes, whatever. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try some cornbread hemp and see if it kind of mellows me out a little bit and helps me on this flight. And I got to tell you, I had no issues on the way there or on the way back. Took a half a cornbread hemp and just relaxed, and I did great. It's the best plane ride I'd ever had in my entire life. So thank you, cornbread hemp.
Yeah.
Thank
Also,
you for
shout out
the. Yeah, go ahead.
to
Go ahead. You go
Cornbread
there.
Hemp, who was on hand at our show at KS Bar and Grill this past Saturday in Lexington. Had the
They
tent set up
were.
there. They gave out some samples. If you were on site, you got to take advantage of a gift certificate that was handed out as well, stickers. But I can attest, they are amazing, and so
Yes.
happy to be partnered with Cornbread
I,
Hemp.
I didn't even think about this, but I'm pretty excited. Thank you so much for the tip, Eric. I'm on a trip to White Plains this weekend. I am going to pop in a gummy and
Do it.
relax and have a great trip. So great
Yeah, it
plane
was
ride.
awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Um, be, so let's chat real quick about speaking of White Plains. This weekend we've got Impact Wrestling's Victory Road. It's gonna be an awesome show. We got some amazing matches there. They're gonna take place at Victory Road. To kind of run down the card here in just a second and kind of let you know what to look forward to. But you've got title versus career. Kenny King, the digital media champion, versus Tommy Dreamer. If Tommy Dreamer was to lose, his career is over. However, if Tommy Dreamer is to win, then Kenny King loses his digital media title. So title versus career, that's going to be a match to see for sure. You got the X Division title. Kushida going to cash in that X Division X that he won in the Ultimate X against Leo Rush and take him on there. For that, you got that match. You've got Anything Goes with PCO versus Bully Ray. You've got Jordan Grace's return, and she's taking on the one and only Ringside Podcast alum, Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa. And Jordan Grace is actually 0-4 against Deonna. So this is going to be interesting to see if she can finally get that win over Deonna this Friday night. You get the World Tag Team titles on the line. The newly crowned champions from Emergence, the Rascals versus the one and only Motor City Machine Guns, who happens to be one of them happens to be the Impact World champion. And then you got the Impact World Knockouts title on the line when Trinity takes on Alicia Edwards. That's right. Alicia won the Knockouts Battle Royal last week. She's got her title shot. I'm going to give you a spoiler right here. I don't normally do this too much, but Thursday night, if you watch Impact Wrestling Thursday night, and you'll see the contract signing between Trinity and Alicia Edwards, you do not want to miss this contract signing. It is probably the best 15, 20 minutes of TV I've ever seen in years. So do not miss that. I'm not bullshitting you. Check it out. And finally, they get their hands on each other. Steve Macklin and Josh Alexander go one-on-one in a match that should have happened at Rebellion, but because of Josh Alexander's injury, never got to. So we finally get their hands on each other, and we're going to see Steve Macklin just return back to Impact Wrestling from his injury. And now we'll see what happens in their grudge match there when they collide at Victory Road. There's many more to come. And then don't forget on Saturday, September the 9th, if you're in the area, come check it out. Impact 1000. All your favorite superstars from the past, present will be there. You're going to see Team 3D in action. You're going to see maybe America's Most Wanted in action. You're going to see Gail Kim and Awesome Kong both coming out of retirement in an 10-man knockouts tag match. Or 10 women's, I guess. Did I say men? 10 women's knockouts match. That's going to be awesome to see, and many more. The beautiful people will be there. Lance Storm, D'Lo Brown. I mean, it's Tommy Dreamer's even going to be there, whether he's retired or not. And he's going to make an appearance as well. It's something you cannot miss. Check that out. But we got something else big coming up on September the 9th in the local area here in Louisville, Kentucky. Eric, Linda, take that away. What's going on this weekend?
Well, Linda, I'll let you take that, but I want to put in a plug for some people that I had the pleasure of working with this weekend, and that is Premier Streaming Network. We've had, of course, the folks on the show before, and Josh Chernoff, of course, one of the owners, Freddie Prinze Jr., but coming up, the Wrestling Showcase, if you're in the New Jersey area this weekend. You can check that out on September the 9th. It is 2 big matches included on that card, along with a bunch of other showcase matches of all the different promotions that they run on the Premier Streaming Network. But the main event is going to be for the Premier Streaming Network Championship, as Matt Cardona takes on Colt Cabana. And then for the women's Premier Streaming Network Championship, you've got Steph DeLander, and she'll be going one-on-one with Rachel Ellering. So that's going to be big. And you can check that out on Premier Streaming Network, or check it out up there in New Jersey. But also in the Louisville area, we've got OVW Hard Reset. Linda.
Yes. Well, leading up to the Saturday night special this Thursday night, we have the Go Home Show to Hard Reset. But yes, this Saturday night, September 9th, it will be huge. We've got, I believe, 4 matches announced so far right now. We've got the Rush Division Championship match on the line between champion Cal Hero versus Adam Revolver. We've got the tag titles on the line. We have the Champions and Destroyers, who will face some members of the faction, that being Luke Curtis, an alum of our show, and Joe Mack. We also have, just from last week, announced a tag match between Haley and her mom Maria against the team of Shalance Royale and PJ Jones Esquire. So that should be interesting if you saw.
It's about time PJ got that butt whooped.
Right. If you saw the past couple of weeks on OVW TV, a lot of crazy shit stuff, has happened.
So you can say shit.
Yeah, I know you can say bullshit before. Yes, has happened. So we'll see what this tag match will entail this Saturday night. And then we also have a huge fatal 4-way match. Will determine the winner of the OVW Heavyweight Championship. The champion Jack Vaughn will be in the match. We also have Mahabali Shira, Cashflow, and Shotgun Tony Gunn. And again, we have OVW TV this Thursday night. Maybe some more matches to be announced.
It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be the last time you can see us live before the whole world gets to see OVW, as Wrestlers premieres on Netflix coming up September the 13th. So very exciting.
Just get your tickets at ovwrestling.com if you don't have them already.
Yes, and if you do go to ovwrestling.com and you use promo code Ringside, you do save 20% off your ticket. So anytime you order tickets, whether it's for Thursday night show, the TV show, I think we still offer it on the web if you order. I'm not sure if you order the pay-per-view. I don't know about that, but I do know for sure if you're ordering tickets, ovwrestling.com, use promo code Ringside, you save 20%. And why not? Why not do that and save some money? And it's helps you out. It helps us out. Whole 9 yards.
Word has it, there's been invitations sent out to some higher ups in the in the world of entertainment and wrestling media as well. So who knows who'll show up at Hard Reset?
Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah.
You can be there, Jeremy.
I'll be there. You don't have to beg. I'll show up.
Yeah, so it's gonna be exciting. I wish I was gonna be there. I know I have my own show.
Oh, wait, you're not gonna be there? See y'all this Saturday.
All right.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's unfortunate. I just talked about this when we was talking about wrestlers actually recently. I was like, yeah, there was a few times I wasn't there because I was unfortunately with Impact that weekend, and I was like, they were like, oh man, that stinks. I was like, yeah, you then maybe tell the owners not to have shows run at the same time, but that's impossible because everyone runs almost all the time. But
Sure.
it just happens, unfortunately. But I'll be there the following week and the week after and the week after. So looking forward to that. And I can't wait for wrestlers. This is going to be a fun. I know we plugged it a couple of weeks ago on the show. We talked about it a little bit last week too as well. Wrestlers is gonna it's gonna the wrestling world's gonna know it and watch it and love it, right? And talk about it. But I can't wait for the person that literally wants to sit down and watch something, has never seen a wrestling show, or maybe even thinks wrestling's stupid, and then turns it on and watches this show and gets into it and has a different aspect or thoughts about it, or maybe not, maybe just want to be entertained and get to know, all of us and our friends and everything and the characters that come with them. So,
I mean, think about it. Who thought in 2020 any of us would sit down and watch a show about a tiger, right? But we did. All of us did.
That's true. We all did.
I'm excited to see who.
So hey, all you cool cats and kittens, check out Wrestlers September 13th on Netflix.
I will say this: I got a bone to pick with these Netflix people, and I know they're trying to keep it secret from all of us who were part of it, and we can't see it till anybody else sees it. But there are people that are watching this before we do, and they've been sworn to secrecy and to keep it away from us. I will tell you, one person I talked to, and him, told me that he has all of the episodes in his inbox and he was getting ready to go watch them, but he was told he could not show it to anybody, especially anybody from OVW. That guy was Conrad Thompson. He said he's got all of them in his inbox, and when he left Chicago, he was going to go and watch them all, but they told him he could not show it to anybody related to OVW.
Wow.
I was like, all right, well, fine. I guess we'll wait.
Well, when you're as over as Conrad Thompson, you get to do that kind of stuff.
I guess you do.
Hopefully this podcast can get as highly rated as any of his podcasts out there. Hey, you know what? I know we're doing our own thing. We're on the YouTube. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that. But Conrad, if you want to have a show, if you want to put us on your network, we'll take it. AdFreeShows.com. We'll jump on it. I'm all about it. Come on. Sign us up.
Be a bidding war between him and Premier.
It would be probably.
It's all right. They've already they've already both offered us something. So just put that out there.
Money talks. Money talks. That's right. Any kind of money talks.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, that's great. Well, maybe next week, we've talked about having a couple guests on. Hopefully next week. Oh, look, money. There's money.
The $2 bill. Sorry, that's what I was looking for.
$2 bill.
Up here. It's the lucky $2 bill.
All right. That talks too. I'll take a $2 bill. The next week, if all things work together and all things come right, we'll have Cody Deaner on the show, Impact Wrestling superstar. If not, it'll be the following week after that, but that's going to be okay. And then in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have someone from the OVW and someone from the show Wrestlers. It's the same person I'm talking about, but someone coming on. Maybe we'll have a couple different people from the show Wrestlers over the next couple of weeks. Come on. I mean, why not, right?
Once we've seen it, then we'll know who we need to talk to. I think
that's the thing. I know one.
We don't know who it is yet.
I know one person for sure we'll have on. We've already had someone on before on the show that's been that you've seen a lot of. Maybe too much of in the trailer. But we'll bring on Cash Flow again in the future back on the show for sure. And then, but yeah, we definitely need to bring some others on. I mean, we are the official podcast of OVW, of Ohio Valley Wrestling, it's why not do that? And I do want to get Matt Jones on because I know he talked about he would do it, and we haven't. I don't think we've reached back out to him to have him come on and talk a little bit about it. But I do want to get him on, even though. Two out of the four of us definitely root for another team than he does. But hey, we can all get along. So, right.
It's all good.
I'm the neutral one, right?
You're the neutral one.
You're
Two out
the
of the
neutral one.
four because Cornish over here is on that. He likes that blue people, and you're Linda. You're on the
That's true.
you're on a completely different world. You don't. Do you even watch college football and basketball?
This is a funny story, quick thing. Well, I was wearing my blue this past Saturday, but here's the funny thing. When I was younger, watching when ESPN was just ESPN, maybe there was the two, but there wasn't you or any of the other
Right.
channels of that. I was in cheer and dance, and when I was growing up, the school that was ranked number one that won the championships a lot was UK. So I had a liking for UK just from being here that, and then watching college basketball. I know hey, I enjoy Louisville too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that was my story. So me going to Lexington this past weekend amongst the sea of blue was just kind of coming full circle. And I even said it to my sister. I'm like, remember when I was always talking about UK? So that's all I got to say. However, I do love Louisville too. I'm a Cardinals fan too, yo. So come on.
See, it's all about the blue for me. I even met up with Blue Meanie at breakfast this weekend. So it's only blue.
Look, I can adapt. I've already changed my hat and tilted the camera down where you can't see the cardinal in the background. So that's how I'll have to deal with Matt. I've known Matt for a long time. Got no issues with him. There may be a little bit of card cat banter between the two of us, but I respect him and appreciate all he's done for my career.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he's portrayed in this. He's not quite sure how he's going to come off in Wrestlers. So we shall see.
We shall see. Guys, thanks for listening and watching. As always, you can get us all on the podcast avenues that you listen, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio app, or just go to ringsidepodcast.com. You can find us right here on the YouTube, or if you're listening, you can also watch the video format on the YouTube, youtube.com/@ringsidepodcast. All of our last episodes of the last month is there and going forward. And hopefully eventually a live format will be coming soon to that network. You can get us all on the social media, the Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, the Instagram, the Threads. I may be missing one, I don't know, but it's Facebook. It's at Ringside Podcast. The TikTok is at the Ringside Podcast. Maybe I'm trying to work on getting at Ringside Podcast. Someone already has it. I'm in the process of trying to communicate with them and see if they want to do a switch or an offer or whatever, so we can have it everywhere. But hey, if you find it, if you go to TikTok and you see at Ringside Podcast, and you're like, that's not them, message them and say, give it to the real Ringside Podcast. I'm just playing, but really do give them shout out to them or tell them to, work out a deal with us. Please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or on Apple. We haven't had people do that in a while. Please leave us a 5-star review. Give us your thoughts, questions, whatever on that, and we'll read it on the air. I promise you we will. And if you do that, and if you have a question or say a thought, we'll not only will we read it, we'll take that in consideration. We'll do it. I mean, anything that you think that makes the show better, we will do that. We lost Eric Cornish. I don't know what just happened, but we got to plug everything.
Bye, Eric.
Bye, Eric. So I don't know if he's going to hop on in, but I can.
There he is.
Oh, he's coming back. So Eric's back. There we go.
Good.
All right. So individually on Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Daniel Spencer.
I'm at Jeremy_CSC.
You can find me at lovelylindak.com, but also individually on Instagram at LindaKPWR, at the X at LK22. But again, lovelylindak.com is where you can find that all.
And you can find me at Eric on the air, and also Daniel and myself, not only at ProWrestlingTees.com, but also ShopOVW.com.
Yes.
Brand new.
ShopOVW.com. Go there, find our merch there, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Daniel Spencer. You can also at the ProWrestlingTees.com/Daniel Spencer. You also get the Ringside Podcast shirt. Everything that I make on that, by the way, always goes to this podcast. I don't keep it for that. I put it into the podcast. So whatever you buy, my shirts goes there, including especially the Ringside Podcast one. And Eric, your ProWrestlingTees.com/OVW
Eric.
OVW Eric. Okay. All right. cool.
Yep.
You changed that. It used to be something else. I remember that.
No. Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's true. It was.
yeah.
It was a while back. Yeah.
It was a while back. Okay. And then levelofindicate.com. I'm sure you got your merch up there too, right?
Absolutely.
Jeremy, do you have merch? Get yourself a 55 shirt. I don't know if you could where you buy that, but get yourself a 55 shirt.
It needs to be the same place all y'all stuff is with the Ringside Podcast stuff. I get it.
Well, we eventually will make a website to have all of our stuff right there. It's just going to take some time. We're all scattered everywhere. I even have a shirt like on ProWrestlingEntertainment.com. It's my Back to the Future shirt, which I also have one now on Shop OVW, but I have a different version. It's just whatever. It's everywhere. But if you follow us on social media or whatever, we'll tweet those links out. And Linda, are you on? I know that I'm on there. I know Eric, you're on there. We're on Cameo. You can get a personal Cameo. Linda, are you on Cameo?
It's
in the works.
Yeah.
Get yourself a personal Cameo. Cameo.com/Daniel Spencer. Cameo.com/Eric on the air.
Eric on Voice of the Valley, I think.
Voice of the Valley. Okay, there you go. Leave us a cameo. Request a Cameo. We'll send birthday shout outs. I'll referee your dispute. Eric will ring announce your whatever you want to ring announce for and call your give you a shout out that way. Yeah, there you go. Just plugging everything here, guys. Check out shout out to AJ McKay. Thank you, AJ McKay, for the intro. By the way, shout out to Mikey Ruckus, who was at STARRCAST. We tweeted out a picture with the man who did the music of the intro and the man that does the voiceover of the intro, and then 1/4 of the co-host right here, all in one picture.
I don't know if you realize what AJ sent to you originally. That's not what it said. It is said, I believe it said the guy who produced the music, the guy who does the voiceover, and the host of the Ringside Podcast is what I told him to send you.
Hold on, let me see what he said.
I don't know if he did. He might have been nice and not sent what I told him to send. But
no, he did, and he did an LOL. I laughed back. I gave him a laugh emoji back, and then I said I just posted that same thing up there, and he goes, "No way!" And then he responded, goes, "Oh, you reworded it," and I was like, well, "Yeah, of course I reworded it."
I'll tell you right now, Mikey Ruckus is a badass dude. That guy, he has created some awesome music, and then he got up there with Dale Oliver, who did a bunch of the stuff from Impact TNA, like Jeff Jarrett's My World and all that stuff. Dude, that was one of the best panels, and you can go back on Premier Streaming Network and watch that. That's one of the best panels of the entire weekend. It was so good.
Awesome. Well, you got to check that out then for sure. Absolutely. Guys, I thank you again for watching, listening, whatever you're doing to this podcast. We appreciate your support. Keep following, keep listening, keep sharing. Subscribe on YouTube right now. That's also a good way for us. Subscribe on the audio version too as well. That it does nothing but help us out. It really helps the show out. We appreciate it. You get a notification that a new episode's available when it is, whether it's live or whether it just went on air. Don't have to listen to it or watch it right there, but it's available, and that way you have something to listen to or watch in your free time. So we appreciate it. All right, guys. Any last thoughts before we go?
No. Well, I mean, no, not really. Payback was pretty good. The AEW pay-per-view just felt like a glorified Rampage to me. That's all I'll say.
All right. So All In was a glorified to you. All In was a glorified Dynamite, and then All Out, was a glorified Collision or Rampage.
No. I thought the London one was like Dynamite, and then the Chicago one was like Collision.
Okay. All right. There you go. That's Jeremy's opinion. Everybody.
Yeah, it's my opinion. It don't mean nothing.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm looking forward to Hard Reset and just being back in Louisville. Like I just got back home to Wisconsin, and
you're coming back.
The road. So I'll be there for TV this week as well.
You're eventually going to move here. Just stop it.
It'd save a lot of mileage.
Probably would. All right, guys. Thanks as always. In the meantime, between time.
Until next time, you can catch us ringside.
Until what time? Clobbering time?
Yeah. Sorry.
See ya.